Wakizashi's Tea House. Ohayou gozaimasu. Good morning and good evening, everyone. How are you doing? This is Gray from Wakizashi's Tea House over in Japan. Here we are again, finally, for part 3 of Bladerunner. What would you call it? My appreciation of a genius movie, an absolute, undisputed genius film. Now, I'm excited for this, a little bit nervous as usual. I watched the final, maybe 45 minutes of the movie early this morning, taking screenshots. Took way too many, so I've been going through those and trying to pare them down a bit. But yeah. Oh, what's wrong with the mic? Is it not working? Great mic. Let me check the settings. Everything's supposed to be good this morning. Double check. So, yeah, seems to be alright. Let's take it up to full. Or is it too loud? Hey, Nosferatu, Stephen. Oh, a little bit loud. Okay, let me get it down. And Roman of the Empire in the chat. I saw Tehillim here before. It's good to see you. How's that? Is that better? That's gone down a bit. It's the wonky one. Nosferatu says volume is fine. Maybe it's me. I'm full of excitement because, I've been watching this and I've been reading the fantastic book, Future Noir, The Making of Blade Runner. I'm nowhere near finished that. I'm about 1/3 of the way through, but all the little details I've learned from that book about the movie, they make it sound so even better and surprising as well. Let me just have a quick check on YouTube, see how it sounded to me. For one example of a big surprise, did you know in the early casting calls for this movie, Dustin Hoffman was down to play Deckard? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine if Dustin Hoffman played Deckard? It's no way. No way. Nosferatu saying, never read Future Noir. I need to order myself a copy. Huge recommend. It is fantastic. Really, really good. Here we go. Let's have a listen. Nosferatu saying, never read Future Noir. I need to. Sounds good to me. Okay. So I think Stephen and Rowan are messing with me about the mic. You're making me paranoid, guys. What are you doing? So anyway, enough of that. Let me get onto the movie. So, where were we? Let me share the photo. If you remember, at the end of part 2 of my stream, I was... Okay, I knew this was going to happen. Now it's not showing. The photos are not showing. I was up to the part where it's before Roy goes to J.F. Sebastian's apartment. So Pris is in there. She's kind of, scoping out J.F. Sebastian, seeing what's going on. Let's see if it works this time. Share screen. Yes, it does. Okay, here we go. And this is the first view we get of the newly made up Pris. She sprays this amazing, dark airbrush black paint over her eyes. Supposedly, I guess, to make herself look more doll-like, would you say? And she's in a room, an incredible room surrounded by mechanical figures, small dolls, life-size ones. I'm not even sure how many are real. Now the volume's messed up, says Nosferatu. You know what, guys? It could be StreamYard. Sometimes, especially when you hit share your screen or do something, we often get a weird, creepy cyber voice, like a sort of, the Matrix moment. The Matrix where Neo gets the thing injected down his throat and it all goes crazy. Sounds a bit like that. Pris going dark, says Roman. Yes, indeed. So this is the room, and she's kind of investigating J.F. Sebastian. She's sniffing him as well. She's seen his skin, she's seen his face, she knows something's wrong. He doesn't look normal. He's got this, what they call Methuselah syndrome, where his body, his skin ages faster than his years. And don't you just love the doll to his, what would you say, his left? When you look on the screen, my right, is it Kaiser Wilhelm III or something? It's supposed to be, with a long nose. It's so cool. Look closely in the background, you will see a unicorn doll right on the far right. I'm not sure if next to the unicorn that's a real person or an animated doll again. When I was reading Future Noir, they were saying they found so many. They found basically a collector's collection of these kind of animated toys. Some very, very old, almost like clockwork ones, some new. So cool. But just before Sebastian wakes up, she's peeping in at something on this thing. Looks like, I'm not sure what it was. Then, outside, we get the approach of Roy Batty. and you got to stop to compliment the beautiful lighting as usual in the background. Look at that, inside this fantastic location. It's a hotel, isn't it? Somewhere in America, is that right? Ah, the unicorn, says Roman. Good old legend, says Nos. Yeah, don't forget, they used the live action unicorn scene from, supposedly, Ridley Scott's Legend. So the arrival of Roy. Hi Roy, says Pris, and look at her eyes. I took this one because I wanted to show the eyes. They've got the replicant light in the eyes there, even though it's a little bit blurry. Sebastian's surprised. What does he say first, Roy? He makes a comment about, wow, what wonderful toys you have. And his face looks, I don't know how he does it, Rutger Hauer, the actor. He's playing it, as he said in interviews, he's trying to play it as a child. He's only 4 years old. Of course, he's in an adult's body, like a superhuman body. But his facial expressions are so good at times, showing this emotion, this like childlike wonder, also like sadness, sulking at times, regret. Oh, it's a huge mix of, amazing emotions, fantastic acting. Apparently Ridley Scott was a bit freaked out when he first met him before they started filming. Someone recommended him from some of the Paul Verhoeven early movies like Turkish Delight. So he liked what he saw on screen, so invited him, basically cast him without meeting him. But when Rutger Hauer walked in the first meeting, he had some kind of really campy jumper on. He had big pink spectacles, like Elton John style, and he dyed his hair already this lovely kind of white. And Ridley Scott was freaked out. It's like, oh my God, who have I cast? Like, who is this guy? But it turns out to be absolutely perfect. Again, love this scene. I love the music in the background. The way Roy's stroking the bear, the large kind of Paddington Bear-like figure here. So good. I've got this music going around in my head as well. I wish I could play. It's so annoying, but what can you do? It's like really simple. Dun, 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 dun. Just going through in the background. You get a feeling of like family, of warmth. It's like the replicants want to belong to a family. They're looking for, family maybe, emotions, friendship, something. Anyway, before I start going off on a crazy waffle. So, Roy spots the chess set. This is J.F. Sebastian's chess set. And do you notice it's all animals? The animal theme pops up throughout the film, of course, based on the book. Artificial animals, electric sheep. Yeah, he asks, who's your opponent? And J.F. Sebastian tells him, he's the guy who created you. He's a genius. Then look at this one here. I love this screen grab of Pris. She looks so beautiful, Daryl Hannah, in this scene. Great, innocent face. The doll-like look, but also, very young, youthful. Roy Baddie behind her, kind of looking protective. There's just something about it. This really, I don't know, so cool. Anyway. Again, I'm going to try not to use the word cool too much in this stream. Try and use more superlatives. But this scene here where JF is asking, Jeff Sebastian say, show me something. You're amazing. Like, you're so perfect. Show me what you can do. And, Roy says, we're not computers, Sebastian. We're physical. So Pris does a cartwheel, and then she puts her hand in this supposedly boiling water where Sebastian's boiling eggs for breakfast. When I was younger watching this, it always freaked me out. The nails, it's like, oh no, they couldn't put the black nail varnish or whatever on properly. But it's not about that. Supposedly, after reading Future Noir, it's little hints again to show that Pris is near the end. She's accelerated decrepitude. She's dying, and apparently they want to show that with the kind of black chipped-looking nails. There's something going wrong. Oh man, so love this scene. And even I think it makes Sebastian laugh, the actor actually laugh in real life, because it looks genuine when he's like, we're so happy you found us, Sebastian. Great scene, great little clip. Who knew replicants had a sense of humour? So this is maybe Roy's attempt to try to win themselves over to Sebastian, because nobody would help them. They make that point, there's no other human in the world who would possibly help them because of who they are, of what they are, what they represent. These are incredible, basically murdering machines who've escaped. They've left an off-world colony and come down to Earth to try and extend their lifespan. Yeah. Okay, let me briefly pop back to the chat, see how everyone's doing. Nosferatu, don't be dropping the Gadar comments in there. I love this scene, it's so damn weird, says Nosferatu. Roman, it's goofy and perfect. It breaks the tension, doesn't it? Because you see Sebastian is, he's freaked out, especially when Roy kisses Pris in front of him. Because obviously Sebastian's got a crush on Pris straight away. And I think it's reciprocated. I think she's kind of quite, I don't know if she's doing it just to win him over, but she quite fancies him as well, maybe. But yeah, when Baddie kisses her, Sebastian stands up and pushes, breaks them apart to say, okay, I'll get breakfast or something. Yeah, it's cool. Okay. We see the Tyrell building. Got to comment on the fantastic model work again. Look at this. How genius is this? It's not just me, is it, that believes this looks better than anything CGI can create at the moment. I don't care what you say. Miniature models shot well. Just looks, like a real building. It looks physical again. So, Roy, Sebastian go to meet Tyrell, hopefully, to get a face-to-face with him because, Roy wants to ask him about how they can extend his life. And we see this beautiful set. Apparently they used the same set as they shot the Voight-Comte scene where Deckard, first meets Rachel, just redressed the set. Beautiful candles everywhere. You got a huge bed. The actor who played Tyrell was saying apparently, he said, I looked like a child sat on this bed. It was massive. All the pillows in the background there. Golden Eagle. Little bit of a Reich sort of look to it, as well as the, going back to the, what would you call it? The film noir style, the German expressionism, is it? That kind of thing. So they arrive, but they get stopped in the lift, in the elevator, and Tyrell's asking, what are you doing here so late? And Sebastian gives him a chess move. Now look at Tyrell's chess set. It's mainly all figures, isn't it? It looks like a kind of royal family. You see the castles. Maybe the knights are on horseback, but yeah, it's like a royal family. Maybe two opposing armies. Nice contrast to Sebastian's animal chess set. So Roy's telling him the next move is going to make checkmate. Look at this scene here. Grabbed it just by chance. Doesn't Sebastian look like he's got pointed ears? It's just the shadows, I know, but it's weird. It's like a kind of elfin, goblin-esque style to his character. And you've got Roy looking so, so pleased with himself, so self-satisfied. So with that move that, of course, causes checkmate, Tyrell lets him come up. Well, he thinks it's only Sebastian. Then we see a beautiful shot of the artificial owl, yet again with the replicant shining eye on the eyes. So good. Huge pupil. And we can see it again reflected in Roy. Look at Roy's eyes. Kind of pink lit circle there. And oh man, the first time I saw this, and you're afraid, aren't you? You know it's not going to go well. Like, he's got in, he's there face to face with, supposedly, his creator. And he says, it's not an easy task to meet your maker. Tyrell, he gives a look. It's like he knows as well. He's like, oh no, but he tries to talk, Roy down or sweeten him. Such a great scene. I heard that the actor again who played Tyrell, this is from reading the book, that he couldn't remember the line, so there are lines of dialogue stuck up everywhere so he can check, because it was quite complicated what he had to say, wasn't it? Talking about the facts of life, longevity. What was happening with the virus created on the table, so deadly it killed the host before he left the table. He just wants more life. And Tyrell makes a mistake of sitting down next to Roy. He puts his hand on his shoulder. He's saying, you're the prodigal son. You burn so brightly. The things you've done. I've done questionable things. Also extraordinary things. Revel in your time. And then there's a really disturbing scene, well, it was to me, the younger me watching it, where Roy kisses his father, his maker. I want more life, father. And then as he pulls out of the kiss, he puts his thumbs into Tyrell's eyes and just like pops them out. Oh God, it's horrible. It looks like real, doesn't it? They did such a good job. I heard they used a prosthetic head just for one little part of the scene, but they were using like tubes which were going to put fake blood out of his eye sockets. Apparently Roy Batty had sponge on the end of his thumbs a bit later in the scene with blood coming off the sponge. So they left it till the very last minute until they used the fake head. It looks so real, frightening, kills Tyrell. And Sebastian's reaction, the time he's watching in the background, and look at his face, he's like a mixture of like crying almost, and terrified horror, can't believe it. There's a scene here which, let me go back before the lift scene. I think this is only in the final cut. It might be in one of the other cuts, I'm not sure, the prints, but I noticed it today, really noticed it. I had the headphones on and the sound was up pretty loud, and you hear, as Sebastian tries to flee, you hear Roy say, "Sorry, Sebastian." It's like in a kind of whispery voice. It's really creepy, and then he says the word come twice, and we don't see what happens. There are rumours that Ridley wanted to show him being killed, but they cut it out, or they didn't film it, I'm not sure. And then we get our only shot of stars, the stars in the whole movie, when you see Roy coming down in the elevator. I want to say lift because I'm from the UK, but yeah, the elevator down the Tyrell Corporation building, the stars are there. And then Roy pulls this great face again. It starts off as a kind of mixture of, almost sulky regret, sullenness, sadness, but then he's smiling at the end, like, he's still trying to realise what he's done. He's killed his creator, he's killed the only chance he possibly had to get more life, but he was told there was no chance. In the original script, apparently, this is not going to spoil things, I don't think, but that Tyrell was a replicant. They wrote it as he was a replicant, and the real Tyrell was, cryogenically frozen in another section of the building, and they actually go up and find him in this, alien-style pod, in suspended animation. He'd got some deadly disease and he'd been frozen, like Walt Disney, so they would hopefully find a cure and then resurrect him, bring him back, but they took that out of the movie. Okay, we get a great transition, the scene with Roy Batty coming down in the elevator. We see his face, his kind of manic glee. It cuts to this scene of this gorgeous tunnel, kind of weird tiling on the inside, which reflects the lighting. Beautiful design, again, beautiful lighting, natural. And we see the spinner. Is it Deckard's police car, or it could be a different one? Deckard pulls up to the Bradbury building, as it's called, and there are these kind of street urchins outside. They're scoping out the car, and before they get on the car, a police spinner comes down and they start questioning Deckard, don't they? And they kind of hide out of the way. So I just wanted to cut this scene inside the cockpit. It just looks so good. We've got the incessant rain. It says in the Japanese Bradbury apartment. So do you think that was named after Ray Bradbury, the science fiction author, or is it the name of the actual property? I don't know. Did they create that for the movie? But yeah, the cop's asking, well, what are you doing? I'm working. What are you doing? I'm arresting you. That's what I'm doing. Then he gives his ID. He gets passed, checked and cleared. And we hear that classic line, "Have a better one." We see the spinner take off. Look, it's so real. Look at it. It's incredible. Again, these screen catchers don't do it justice. My God, look at that. It's not just me, is it? I love that scene. And you see the steam come out the bottom, the white smoke. As it lifts, it doesn't make a sound hardly, just a slight sound there. Anyway. And at that moment, Deckard hears like a noise on the roof of the car, and he realizes, oh my God, there's like some whatever, that I'm being robbed. They get something off the car, they get some kind of container and start fighting over it. Love the red eyes on the guy's glasses there, sunglasses, like two little lights. Okay, this is where I got to stop because I'm going to have a nerdgasm with this shot. This is incredible, absolutely unbelievable. Again, it's a mixture of like live, real buildings, matte paintings, special effects. To me, it looks absolutely unbelievable. Don't forget, this is 1982. We're talking 40 years ago. This could have been ripped from a game, now this level of game technology. It looks so good, but I think it looks better. What a fantastic artistic picture design, whatever, by a mixture of Douglas Trumbull and Sid Mead, the visual futurist Sid Mead. Unbelievable. Whew. Okay, I think at this point it's to pop back to the chat and see how everyone's doing. A beautiful scene, so organic. The cops are based. I'm arresting you. Yes. Nosferatu saying this is one of the few films that you can pick out new details every time you watch it. Mate, that's what was happening again this morning. I've seen this movie like you guys countless times, and I didn't notice the little red lights on one of the street urchins, dark glasses. Didn't notice that at all. This scene though, when the spinner comes flying over Deckard's car and you get the light as well. God, it's beautiful. Roman saying this is Hong Kong in the real world, if you ever go there. I have been there. I've been to Hong Kong. It is incredible. It's just the cityscape down by the water. So beautiful. A mixture of brand new, crazy high skyscrapers and old dirty restaurants. So good. Okay, everyone good? Let's keep going. This scene here, I really like the background. You see some kind of shop. I always thought it was a cinema, but I'm not sure. You can correct me in the chat. $1 Million. It says, and I can't speak Spanish, is it Los Mimilocos? Is it advertising a movie or is it just a store? Is it an arcade? Something like that. We see Deckard coming into the building. Great, huge, what would you call those at the bottom? The base. Fantastic sculpture, if they're real or if they were made for the film. And two old-fashioned racing cars go flying past in the background when you're watching it live. So as Deckard walks into the apartment block where Sebastian lives, we get another shot of this fantastic off-world Connolly. Is it Connolly? Billy Connolly? Off-world colony ship, or it's an advertising ship now, and we hear the Japanese voice and the koto being plucked, or the shamisen. I'm not even sure what she says. She's just singing some kind of song, but apparently it was a commercial for something. Wow, what a scene. Again, guys, look at this, the art direction. You understand why Ridley got a lot of flack for this, because apparently he would reshoot and reshoot and reshoot the same scene until it was perfect for him. And got a reputation for being a bit of a nightmare to work with because they had to do the same scene over and over again. But at the end of the day, how worth it was it? How worth it is it? To come out with this absolute masterpiece that just looks like a work of art pretty much the whole time, the whole way through the movie. It's like you're looking at a walking, talking, physical work of art. So Deckard climbs the stairs. He doesn't take the lift, the elevator. There are scenes that I've not shot here, but as he's coming up, as he opens the door downstairs, we see Pris's reaction, and it's a beautiful scene where she's got the kind of white veil over her. She's sat really still. There's a pink or rosy light in that scene, and she talked in an interview about the way Ridley shot it. It's some kind of slow camera, and then he played it back and sped it up, so her movements seem really sudden, almost insect-like, the speed of them, the way she moves her head, cocks her ear, when she hears his approach. The idea was that replicants are all super senses, so they can pick up things, the hearing's their hearing is very, very high level, their sight, of course, their physical nature too. And she did this moment here where she rolls her eyes up, almost not into the back of her head, but you can't see her pupils. She did that. It's not contacts. She said it's something she could do. And she said that she held so still, not by holding her breath. If you hold your breath for an extended period, your body starts to shake, of course, even just slightly. She said I was just really shallow breathing. Now, let's go back to this scene. Look at this. Again, the incredible animated toys, the dolls, look like human figures. How many do you think are real in there, apart from Pris? It's hard to say. The little Kaiser figure sat down on the right side with his hand over his big nose or his face. Trying to see any unicorn in there. Is there any sign of it? Not in this one. But yeah, just a weird set, a mixture of old and new and classic. Deckard approaches Pris, pulls off the veil slowly. He's looking at her, he's thinking, is she real? He's going to check. And then, of course, I can't capture this with my screen capture. She kicks him. Apparently in this scene, Harrison Ford did so many of his own stunts. He just launched himself backwards, threw himself backwards across the room almost. Great scene. Fast movement. She comes flying, like doing multiple cartwheels, and lands on top of him, catches his head and neck between her thighs. Mamma mia, what can you say about that? But again, yeah, great scene. So athletic, showing the athletic nature of the replicants. It's all about movement and body, we're physical. This scene, she looks frightening. Going back to the earlier scene where, she looks so beautiful with in front of Roy Batty. Here, like, look at that, the ferocity. Great image. Poor Harrison. He looked like he was, suffering in this. What do you reckon? Wonder how tight she was closing her legs on him. So she turns his head around, we see that, and there's a moment, I think it's in different cuts, you don't see this, but she sticks 2 fingers up his nose, his nostrils, and she's like lifting his head up with that. It's really uncomfortable. It looks like she really does it. I think she did it in real life. And then she goes back and she comes to another approach to get him, and he gets one shot off. Bang! She hits the floor, starts doing that weird kind of spasmodic, spasmy movements on her back, which she did by herself. Another shot, bang! And he actually gets off 3. I couldn't remember it. I thought it was only 2, but he shoots her 3 times to get, to bring her down. Poor Pris. With that, Roy Batty enters the building. He comes up, he takes the elevator, and there's that weird kind of wow, like almost like weird animal noise in the background. It's not his wolf howl, which comes later, but it's really disturbing, really creepy. Sets the scene. He finds Pris first before, Deckard sees him. And there's this scene where I wanted to show the nails again. Look at his fingernails. That's on purpose. It's to show, the dying nature of it, the decrepitude. He's on his way out. Both he and Pris only have days to live, he was saying later, isn't it? And then when he kisses her, and because her tongue's sticking out, this scene, she's dead, but with the tongue slightly protruding, he kisses her and he pushes her tongue back in. Don't mind it now, but it used to freak me out when I was younger. I was like, oh no, because she's dead. What are you doing? You're kissing her. She's dead. Anyway, less we say about that, the better, right? Okay, we get this great scene where, again, I think Ridley shoots it at a slower speed, so it accentuates Rutger Hauer's movements, where he comes into the view, and before Deckard can even get the shot off, he's moving, he's jumping out of the way, misses him, and we see an explosion in the very far background. Now that gun, that blaster is deadly, isn't it? God, that'd take your head off if it hit you. Get a nice view of the gun here, the blaster. You can't quite see it, but it's got a double trigger. Very interesting design. This is just before the moment where Roy Batty sticks his hand through the wall. Bang! Gets hold of Deckard's hand and the gun. Pulls it through the wall, and we all know what happens next, right? Oh God, so uncomfortable. This is for Zora. This is for Pris. Breaks 2 of his fingers. Gives him back the gun. It's so like cool of Rutger Hauer, the character. I just love this idea that, okay, he's going to disable him slightly, and then he's going to give him the gun back. He's playing with him. He wants it to be a sport. That was his approach to it. Deckard switches the gun to his other hand, the blaster, and he fires off a shot, and it actually catches his ear, doesn't it? You don't see it. Apparently they shot a scene with a prosthetic ear, and there was a little bit, they pulled off this prosthetic ear, but they cut it out of the final cut. You see a bloody ear, so he did catch him. Too slow, says Batty. Another freaky scene. He then goes back to Pris before he follows Deckard, puts his fingers into the blood, the wound in her stomach, and puts it down over his lip. It's a really weird scene again. It's kind of a mixture of, it provokes a mixture of revulsion and attraction and, I don't know. And then he starts this wolf howl. which continues, through the rest of the final chase scene, the hunt, as it were, at the end. This howl, this idea that is, bringing out the animal in him again. The bringing back the theme of animals throughout the movie. Gray takes a drink. What time is it? Wow, we've been going for 35 minutes. Unbelievable. What are we on? We're on photo 56. I think there's about 80. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're still there, if you're still watching, I think there's 80, so not that many more to go. And you know where this is in the movie, but man, it was ridiculous. I was taking so many photos. I had to delete, maybe not half of them, but I deleted about 10 before I started. It's like, no, it's too many, Gray. You've got to keep this stream under control because it's coming up to lunchtime here. I can't go on forever. I'd love to, though. Switch to Harrison Ford. Deckard. He breaks, or re-breaks his finger trying to put it back into alignment, and the scream he gives of pain. Oh man, it sounds real. The whole way he acts with his hand, he keeps his fingers at like a different angle, doesn't he? I don't know how he did that. You see it later on when he's climbing. I'm getting ahead of myself, but when he's climbing the building and his like ring finger and his little pinky, his little finger are out of whack. Oh god, it's so good. So Deckard's trying to get out of there. He knows Roy's coming for him. He's hunting him. He wants the hunt, but Deckard's like, no, I can't face him. He's too much. He's too powerful, and he runs. Again, we get more of these beautiful lighting shots, shadows and light, beams of light passing through the slats there. Another cool scene of Roy running up, like, he's doing the howl. He's counting. He's giving like a count, isn't he? 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't remember what he says, but it's just, again, to play with Deckard. Deckard's exits are blocked. There's no way out. The windows are barred, as we just saw, barred with wood. There's like a mesh across them. There's no other way out, so he starts climbing up. Again, when I first watched this, my reaction was like, what are you doing? Where are you going? And as he climbs here, he drops his blaster. No! It's like, oh my god, what have you done? And Roy Batty like catches up and he sees him. He's like, where are you going? There it is. A good view. The dropped blaster. Again, we can't quite get the grip in, but can you see the double trigger? Isn't it weird? I think they were saying like one trigger arms it and the second one fires the shot. And it's based off, it's an amalgamation of different weapons, but the double trigger thing is off a real weapon. An old weapon, some kind of rifle, they said. I always got mixed up with this part when I'm rewatching the movie. I think like he's coming out onto the roof here, but it's not. He comes through the floor of what turns out to be a bathroom. He's next to a toilet bowl, like a flooded, overflowing toilet bowl. And he sits on a bath. And then we switch back to Roy. Roy's hand starts to like close. He's like, no, not yet, not yet. He can feel it coming on. His death is very close. And showing the strength again, he just pulls out this nail from the wood with ease, pulls it out and sticks it into his hand. Now, depending on which version you watch, which cut it was, you don't see the whole thing, but he puts the nail into the palm of his hand. In on the final cut, you see it come out the back. You see this like awful stretching of skin, and it pops through. Oh Jesus! Just talking about it is making me like not cringe, but getting weird. Not chills of pleasure, chills of pain. There we go, going in, and the black nails again, as you can see. Don't worry, I have not shot the moment of its coming out. Okay, another crazy scene, another funny scene which kind of breaks the tension. It's funny, but it's frightening at the same time. Roy's head like bangs through the bathroom wall, the tiled wall. Bang! What's it? He says something like, you gotta get it up, or I'm gonna have to kill you. And it says there in Japanese, it's translated as Korosuzo. It basically says, I'm gonna kill you. And then his head kind of gets stuck for a moment, doesn't it? He's like, trying to get out. Deckard, in the meanwhile, pulls a kind of broken pipe off the wall, and as Roy Batty comes in, he smacks him once, twice with it. Bang! It looks real, looks physical. Of course, they use a rubber pipe, but that's the spirit! He shouts. And again, Harrison Ford, Deckard, he's out of there, he's running. Look at this scene here. I just dropped my headphones. Look at this! Amazing, beautiful mixture of real and not CG of course, model work and painting. So beautiful. The outside of the Bradbury building. Now if you look closer you can see Harrison coming out and he's kind of hanging a little bit on, what would you call it? There's a triangular, some kind of support there, or maybe it's to do with the advertising board or something. But again, another view of the city far below. You can see, yeah, it's a painting, but I think it's beautiful. Better than any CG. This is where Roy pops out. Maybe this is where he says, he's kind of half laughing, like, where are you going? And Harrison, like Deckard, starts climbing up. It's the only way to go is up. He's climbing the outside of the building, incredibly. And incredibly, he doesn't fall, doesn't slip. What always got me in this, back when I used to watch it, was like his one leg of his trousers, his pants, was like hanging over over his shoe. It just looked so uncomfortable. It's like, no, he's going to trip or slip or, oh man, he's soaking wet. You can imagine what they're going through. So he gets to the top. There's these like little mini windmills going on there. There's smoke everywhere. You see the shot, the cityscape below. He sees a way out. Look at this shot again. I was just lucky with the timing. Look at the lighting, the mixture of the rain, the water, the reflections, and that light on the right. Beautiful. Better than any J.J. Abrams, whatever you call it, lens flare that he puts into everything. This is the real deal. This is natural. This is like genius lighting, the art direction and Ridley Scott's fantastic take. But as Harrison sees a possible way out a door, Roy Batty comes through. And look at this image of him. He looks frightening, doesn't he? He means business now. He's not going to play anymore. He's out to kill him. It looks like it. That's what you're thinking. So I keep saying Harrison. Deckard turns around and he just runs and he launches himself up. He tries to make this jump, which, look at that. It looks, could you do that? It doesn't look like it's possible for us. He doesn't make it. He lands on this kind of girder sticking out, this iron girder. He's hanging on there. And again, a beautiful shot. The light varies between these like flashes of bright light and the darkness. The rain's coming down. It's a weird colour there, isn't it? Kind of grey-green. Hey, it's grey! And then we see Roy Batty watching him from above, and now he's got one of the... Well, not a pigeon, is it? It's a dove. He's got a dove in his hand, his left hand. Watching him struggle, watching him hang there. He walks away, and you think he's going to leave him, but no. He holds the dove close to his heart, to his chest, turns round, runs, and he makes the jump with ease. He just glides across. It looks real. Look how far. You get the distance now, don't you? Look at that. You can see that distance from below. Gives a beautiful speech about quite a thing to live in fear. That's what it means to be a slave. Looking down at Deckard as he's hanging in this, again, iconic image of him. Far, far below you see one of the cars. The lights are on there. Doorways, lights, it's a long drop, and he's hanging on one hand. That's not the broken fingered hand, is it? That's his left hand, supposedly his good hand. Again, look at his right hand, the two broken fingers, you can't see them, they're off at another angle. So good that he remembered to keep that up the whole time. Well, certainly whenever you saw it in shot. And the moment as he loses his grip, he starts to fall. Roy Batty grabs him and lifts him up with one arm. And we see Deckard like holding onto his arm with his other arm, trying to support him so his shoulder doesn't pop out. Saves him. Insane. It seems crazy. I wish I could go back to the feeling I had when I first watched it, the very first time, and you wonder, don't you, what is he doing? Just pause a moment to admire the actor Rutger Hauer's gorgeous calf muscles there. Look at the size of his legs. Look at those muscles. And can you see that little detail of the nail still sticking out the back of his right hand? So good. Here, Deckard just looks defeated, doesn't he? Look at him. He's lost. He's waiting to see what's going to happen next. And then, I'm not going to try and butcher it by trying to reproduce this amazing speech, which has become iconic, hasn't it, in our times? So many memes, so many videos on YouTube with gorgeous music, Vangelis' soundtrack in the background, whatever mixed. The Tears in Rain speech, which he did improvise a little bit to the end, apparently, if you believe what I've heard in interviews. Now, this is an interesting fact I didn't know. going back to Future Noir, the book, when they had this scene written, it was longer, and Rutger Hauer wasn't happy with it. He thought it was too long. He's like, had a word with Ridley Scott about it, saying, I think we should keep it short, keep it simpler. So they cut quite a lot of it out, which I think works, doesn't it? Don't you think? Keeping that scene short gives so much more to it. So he talks about seeing things you people wouldn't believe. Ataxiops on fire off the shoulder of Orion. I see sea beams glitter in the Tannhauser Gate. All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain. Just such a gorgeous scene. Time to die. The moment he dies, he releases the dove and it flies off. And do you remember the original cut where you saw this kind of weird mixture of blue sky and clouds and two kind of metal tubes sticking up? It was terrible. They went back and they redid it for the final cut. Look at that. That's more like it. That looks like cyberpunk, doesn't it? That looks like Bladerunner. Got the neon sign in the background, the dove flying off. A little bit of light in the sky, like it's dawn about to break. We'll see. Then Deckard's left there just to think about, why did he save me? What do you think of the narration and the theatrical cut on this part, where he's basically explaining it to the audience, was we're not clever enough to make up our own minds, or he's wondering why do you think he saved him in the chat? Is it because he loved life more than anything in the last moments, even Deckard's life? I read in one of the many interviews with Rutger Hauer where he said the reason he caught Deckard as he was falling, the reason he grabbed him, there was no thought behind that. It was a total automatic reaction, from the replicant. Of course, very fast because of their heightened powers, but it wasn't about he wanted to save him. He just reacted, bang, and caught him and lifted him up. But yeah, he doesn't kill him. He lets him live. And then we see another shot here, gorgeous, as the now dead, departed Roy Batty. There's a spinner, a police ship that just dropped in the background behind. You've done a man's job, sir, says Gaff. How good does he look? How awesome is that design? Costume design, the hat, the bow tie again, the coat, the police spinner in the background. It's too bad you won't live. But then again, who does? So, Deckard goes back to his apartment. He finds a door slightly ajar. It's like, Rachel? Rachel is calling a name. Draws his blaster. He's going in. We've got this weird electronic soundtrack in the background. There's these weird blue images on the screen. The white sheet or cloth you can see at the bottom there, that's hiding Rachel. Is she alive? Is she dead? As Deckard moves the material off her, he goes down and he listens. She's breathing. She's alive. He sighs. Sigh of relief and kisses her and she wakes up. So, do you love me? I love you. Do you trust me? I trust you. And then they go. And we see the bandaged hand. There we go. Has been fixed. So, he tells her to wait. And as they're leaving his apartment, what do? What does she knock over? Rachel? A silver origami unicorn that Gaff had left. Gaff had been there. He'd let her live. And that's the end of the film. A Michael Dealey, Ridley Scott production. I'll let the credits roll. As I was watching the credits, and great here. Original soundtrack album of music by Vangelis. I've not talked enough about the music. That could be a whole stream on its own. Absolutely adore the soundtrack. Beautiful soundtrack. Interesting here, which I've never noticed before, there's a reference to Harps of the Ancient Temples, composed and performed by Gail Lawton, courtesy of Laurel Records. I don't know what that is, which moment that is. And also after that we get here, with thanks to William S. Burroughs, the writer, the madman, the junkie, and Alan E. Nurse for the use of the title, Blade Runner. Not sure how much they paid to use that title, but it wasn't much apparently. They got it for a steal. And there we go. That's it. That's the film. How are you doing? Okay. If you're interested, I can send a link. But yeah, I was going to go for, hopefully, maybe another 30, 40 minutes the plan was 2 hours maximum, but Mrs. Wakizashi might be coming to make a little bit of cup noodle lunch, so there might be disturbances in the force later on. But yeah, I'm going to drop the link now in the chat, so if you want to, you're welcome to drop in and we can talk about it. We can nerdgasm together. Here we go. So it's been working okay, yeah, I hope. I've not been checking in the chat. I'm sorry about that, guys. I'm sorry I missed you in the chat. I'm going to go over the comments now. Let's see. Memories are a central theme of the film, and Roy parted his with Deckard, humanizing him at the end like he wanted to be. That's awesome, Nosferatu. Show that. Great comment. As people drop in, I will just quickly scan through. Oh, Derek Brickett, nice to see you. Thanks for dropping in. Absolutely love this movie. I own the Final Cut version on DVD. It's over there. I've got the Japanese Final Cut. One of my favourite Harrison Ford movies. And Ridley Scott's third best. Oh, interesting. Okay, third best. I'd love to hear your rankings for his other ones. Oh, Zach, it's nice to see you. Who was it that said Deckard is a slave catcher? It wasn't me. Some idiot, no doubt. But wasn't it interesting that he only kills the women? Have you noticed that? He doesn't kill the men. They're male replicants. It's Rachel kills Leon and... Wait a minute. Roy dies. Batty dies himself. Okay, I'm going to add. We've got Roman of the Empire and Stephen Ransom. Roman, how you doing?
Hey, Gray, I'm doing well. Thank you for bringing me on. And by the way, it was the writer of She-Hulk that said Deckard was a slave catcher, in case you're curious about that.
Of course it was.
The most idiotic show with the most idiotic writer said the most idiotic thing. Fantastic.
I believe that she's going to be writing the new Bladerunner series, Roman. No, I'm joking.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
And we've got Stephen Ransom as well. Good old Stephen. How are you doing, Steve?
How are you? How are you, Gray? Roman, how are we doing?
Fantastic. We're all talked out.
How do I sound, by the way?
Sound great.
Very cool.
Sexy, like always.
Why did Roy save Deckard? That's a very simple but very deep question. That's one I want to put over to you two. Why do you think he saved him in the end?
You want to go first, Ron?
No, you go ahead, buddy. You go ahead. I always go first.
Nas and I were kind of kicking the idea around. I mean, there's definitely some comments between Nosferatu and I about the savior image. As soon as he puts that nail in his own hand, he's sacrificing himself.
Oh.
Or at least that's where it's going visually. And then he picks up a dove and holds onto it speculatively, and then saves Deckard with like two ideas in mind. One, to respect Deckard's struggle, and at the same time, so that somebody can witness his death.
The witnessing of the death thing, I think, is very good. Very good one, Stephen. Roman, what do you think?
How did this play out in the novel? Did anybody actually read the novel? Because I have not.
Yes. It does. So many features of the novel are just like not even close to what is on screen. It's very similar to the differences between movie Planet of the Apes and book Planet of the Apes. It's almost a whole other universe.
Okay, got it. I was just kind of curious because Philip K. Dick, in his writing, had a lot of, and don't beat me up because I am one, had a lot of Catholic themes in his writing.
Yes.
So when you see these kind of things come forward, it wouldn't be surprising if that were actually the why of it. I actually think the narrative that Harrison Ford put forth in the original film was probably pretty accurate. Remember, emotions are very interesting for the replicants. Yeah. They're not really hardwired in. They're very erratic, sometimes very intense, sometimes very held back. And I think in those final moments, there was a release for Roy. And he just had this love of all the things. And that was it. He didn't want to see Deckard die. The dove was a symbol of life. All of these things tied together. And so I think that original ending really did actually say what it meant to say.
He grabs the dove before he makes his leap as well.
He does. He knows he's going to save him. He knows he's going to do it. Now, Deckard doesn't know he's going to do it. He thinks he's going to,
Okay,
off the
interesting.
building.
Really, do you think he's decided he's going to save him? Because
No, I do.
yeah,
I think that's why he
I
grabbed
don't
the
know.
dove. I think
Yeah.
all this stuff is tied together.
Because we don't
And
see
this
him
is
grab the
all
dove, do we? He
subjective.
grabs that as he's going through one of the rooms, or we see all the pigeons or the doves in that room. It must be from there, is it? Or maybe it was just out there. But yeah, great takes, guys. I say there's no official answer. It's just interesting to ask people what they think.
I think that that he's still trying to figure it out, but he's going to put himself strategically in the position to give himself the choice.
Yeah. Because he's still only 4
he
years
is a
old.
military being.
We forget that, don't we? Emotionally, he's 4 years. He's 4 years old, so he's all these new emotions, and he's trying to wrap his head around them.
Right.
And accentuated, heightened reactions. That's why he saves him. He grabs him. He doesn't think about it. He just grabs Deckard.
Mm-hmm. I wonder when they lose their programming, the replicants, because this series is at the end of their lifespan.
Yeah.
And that's when they decide to go rogue. So this didn't happen 2 years in their lifespan. This happened, at the end of their lifespan. So whatever the new programming that Tyrell gave the Nexus 6 was not necessarily solid. Emotions became erratic, and then they developed their own ideas. And they said, you know what? I'd actually like to live longer. I need to figure out how to do this. And then they make the trek to Earth.
Right, yeah. I mean, imagine the juggling act you got to go through on making an aggressive character into this creation, while at the same time, limiting how long it's allowed to live, because eventually he's going to go, I don't want to do this anymore.
You used an interesting term there, Stephen. So Roy Batty is an aggressive character. That's entirely his purpose. He's also a very sympathetic character. You feel for Roy. You understand what he wants. And at the very end, you actually wish he had more time. At least I did. I mean,
I watch a lot of robot fiction. I mean, most of the anime I enjoy the most is are the ones about a creation realizing how difficult it would be to become a human being.
Yeah, fascinating idea. Fascinating stories, aren't they, Stephen? Nosferatu's got a really good comment here. He's saying he wasn't just sharing his death with Deckard, but imparting his memories, his experiences. That's why he starts telling him, the things he's seen, which is what made him almost human.
Yeah, almost like a brief autobiography.
Yeah.
If only you could see the things that I have seen with your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
That's a hell of a line.
It's a fantastic line. It just gives you chills, doesn't it, when you rewatch it, man?
Well, because I think about the things that I've seen in my military experience.
Okay.
In the Gulf, seeing the oil rigs on fire out there. And when I remember I saw this movie back in 1982. So those images actually came back to me when I saw these things in real life, and it's like I get what Roy saw.
Yeah.
Zax is saying killing JF Sebastian always feels out of character. The way they shot it makes me think they hadn't decided his fate at the time. Well, according to the book Future Noir, they were going to film it, they're going to show it, but really decided not to. And it is strange that he says sorry, Sebastian. You hear this whisper before he kills him. Sorry, Sebastian.
So that wasn't in the original theatrical cut, though, was it?
No.
You just got to see him going towards him in a threatening manner.
And then see him in the elevator.
I think that was better. I'm a big fan of the theatrical cut, and you can abuse me all you want for that because I'm used to that. I'm glad they didn't show the scene though, because I think that would have made Roy inhuman, and it would have turned you against Roy if you saw that. The scene with him killing his creator was one thing. Him killing Sebastian would have been something else, because Sebastian was an innocent soul. He was part of the machine, but he wasn't the machine. He was just a dude. He was a dude.
I always felt
who really
sorry for him.
Who liked Roy's girlfriend and had a bad skin disease. That's what Sebastian was.
Again, guys, it's very different to the book. I don't remember fully because it's been years. But as Nosferatu was saying, it's only a short book and it's worth reading. But I don't think you don't get that scene at the end on the roof or anything. I think they have a confrontation in an apartment and he just gets shot. They just shoot Roy Batty. Bang,
so
bang.
With most of Philip K. Dick's stuff, none of it is as expanded as it is when they are filmed.
Yeah.
I mean, the Man in the High Castle is, this long, and they made what, 3 or 4 seasons out of that.
Right.
Which I actually preferred over the book, but that's neither here nor there. So they've taken his kernel idea, which was fantastic, and then blown it up into these incredible worlds.
Yeah, there's more of a discussion in the book. Everything else is visually attached to that discussion, but he's basically discussing, what does it even mean to be human? How do you even measure such a thing?
As you were saying, Stephen, those are some of the most interesting discussions to have, aren't they? And they make some of the best movies or whatever anime stories.
Yeah. So I mean, Motoko in the elevator with Bateau in the film Ghost in the Shell.
Ghost in the Shell, wow. Inspired.
She's basically saying, like, I'm doubting my own existence. And he's like, you're full of shit. Just stop friggin' overthinking it. You're alive, okay? It's like, stop it already. So, yeah, it's like, it really did inspire that. And that's what the whole simulacrum thing about the Matrix is, too. It's like, are we even here? It's like, just doubt about. And
what
Matrix
real?
visualizes it as a video game.
Low Spec Linux, is it? I always get the name wrong. Low Spec Linux, great to see you, man. Thanks for dropping in. Sebastian was like a little kid as well. Yeah, again, it's reflected in the replicants. They were like children, weren't they, at the same time?
They were emotionally not ready for what they were getting because their lifespan had been so short. They'd been programmed to be, this thing, but they didn't have the years to develop those emotions. They had enough time to develop enough emotion and then more emotion than they ever planned on, and then everything went haywire.
Yeah, it's kind of cruel that they developed just enough emotion to die.
Yes, exactly. And
they actually understand.
Going back to emotion, what do you both think of Rutger Hauer's performance? The way he, changes his face, he can express so much just by a look, a glance, can't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, a non-verbal emotional response is incredible. I'm going to use a scene from Return of the Jedi for this, and I know it's going to be crazy. It's when Darth Vader, the Emperor is zapping Luke with the his force rays.
The force lightning.
And Vader looks from Luke getting zapped to the Emperor, back to Luke, then back to the Emperor, and then just picks him up, no words, and throws him off the balcony into the fires below. And that was a great he didn't have facial expressions. But Rutger Hauer, oh my Lord. He brought you weird humor, casual conversation, and absolute horror.
Right.
Without even raising his voice.
Yeah.
He never,
like the villain, the assassin in No Country for Old Men does exactly the same thing. Nice and quiet, and you can feel the room trembling.
His presence was enough.
Oh, you're mute. You're mute, Gray.
Sorry, that is a great point. He doesn't shout, does he? He only howls like a wolf, and even that is not that loud. He's just like playing with Deckard at the end, chasing him.
He never actually seems angry. He seems mad when he's pushing in the eyes. And he seems sad a lot of the time, quite honestly. A lot of his performance is just his sadness with his position and the knowing he is probably going to die and there's nothing he can do about it.
That's it. Yeah, great point. The sadness is always there. The impending doom. He wants more life, but he knows at the end of the day he's not going to be able to get it. Wow.
Yeah, I love thinking about Roy's. What would Roy be like on the battlefield? I mean, that's what he was. He was a soldier on the battlefield, and I think we get a bit of that when we see him doing his cat and mouse play with Deckard. And the roaming around and the giggling and taunting his victim. He's Death Squad material. Like scary as hell, like a politician in some coup.
Assassin team.
They just send in Roy. So yeah, terrifying indeed.
according to the original script, they were going to open with a scene of, I don't know about all of them, but some of the replicants mining an asteroid or something. They were there, and it would show, them making not their escape, but part of their escape was going to be shown, but they didn't have the budget to do that, so they scrapped it.
I'm glad they didn't do it, honestly.
Didn't need it. Yeah,
it's so much better left to your imagination what their worlds were.
Yeah.
I mean, you get those little bits, especially with Leon. Leon was one of the he was one of the more underdeveloped characters. You only get him in a couple of scenes, but man, those couple of scenes, what the hell with Leon? What were you doing, brother?
Awesome actor, Brian James. Guys, how about this one? Again, another scene they didn't go with, but when Deckard goes into his apartment and he goes in the bathroom, he finds the snake scales. Leon was supposedly above, like, what you call it, like Spider-Man style, all four corners of the ceiling. He was up there because they'd caught him in the apartment when they went. Again, they took that out, and I'm glad it's not in there. You see him outside.
I don't think that would have worked, because if Leon was there, Leon would have killed him.
Yeah, he would have gone for it.
It absolutely doesn't work. He just shot the guy asking him questions about a tortoise.
Proof again that the cool factor of that image wouldn't work. It would actually there's an effect, and we've talked about this before, Gray, and I'm sure you were there at that time too, that the background shots like the bar, right? Yeah. And the level of on camera or in camera realism that's in Blade Runner is what really nails it down. It's like, it's so grounded. Even the most fantastic shots, because of the way they're shot and how much real is in the shot, it just comes off as so genuine and grounded. You never think it's a movie.
No, and that last scene, the chase with Roy and Deckard in the abandoned building, when everything is wet and everything is, it's like when he's trying to climb his way up and you're thinking, how is he able to do this? He's outside the building trying to hang on. You're mentally thinking, because I mean, I've climbed a lot of things, mountains, big rocks, all the scaly things. That's one of my weird hobbies because I'm old and I like to do things like that. And I'm thinking, if I had to grip onto something like that and it's wet, I have no idea how that would actually hold. And it's just like, thunk, and I'm dead. So you can viscerally feel these scenes through the shots. You can almost smell the scenes. It smells damp. It smells musty. It's like an old book that's been sitting in your garage for too long.
Yeah. And now imagine any one of these shots, any one of them, the scene on the rooftop, the scene of Deckard entering the apartment. Imagine those done in the round like Mandalorian.
Oh God, yeah, Stephen, exactly what you're saying. There would be no sense of realism, no sense of stakes. No. You really feel it, don't you? You feel the tension.
I don't know what that is. It's like, what's up with the human eye that we could even see such a thing?
I know.
But it's so obvious in the new stuff. It's like, I don't trust any of the backgrounds anymore. It's weird. It's weird.
They're too clean, aren't they? They're too clean. The lines are too clean. It's weird.
Yeah,
it's like
they don't feel
the
organic.
Game. I don't know what it is.
Blade Runner feels organic. Every shot in that movie feels organic.
Well, because it is. It's actually organic. It's really there in camera. It's crazy. Yeah. It's like we can really
he was
tell.
reaching out and touching the water and the nastiness and all the things. Hell, when he shoves the nail through his hand.
Oh God.
You know that's not real, but it feels like it very much feels like it is. It doesn't look like a fake hand. It looks like he's doing it, and the facial expression, not yet. Trying to get control of the mechanism in his hand again so he can use the digits. Man, that's a tough scene.
That's when Roy says we're physical, he means that genuinely. It's like a lot of people still think that these things are mechanically built, but they're not. They're grown. They are completely organic all the way down to the marrow in their bones. They're clones, for lack of a better term, but super clones.
Super clones.
More human than human. That's the saying we have here at Tyrell.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's really great to get your thoughts on it. And, we could do like endless streams on each scene almost, couldn't you, in Blade Runner? the physicality of Pris, Daryl Hannah, she's so good, isn't she? She's really shows the physicality. And Zora was like that. Apparently Zora, she was, people said in interviews that she was the most physical actress they've ever met. She was amazing. She did a lot of the stunts running across the top of the cars, the chase scene. She was doing it by herself, but she needed more screen time, maybe. That's the only thing. But anyway, less is more, less is better.
It would have been interesting to see her snake dance. Just so that we could see possibly how enthusiastic the audience was and how uncomfortable she actually was. Because
again,
she
they
was
were going to
finally
shoot
becoming
that.
conscious.
They were supposed to shoot it. They took it out. They were going to shoot it. They didn't shoot it in the end.
One of the more disturbing scenes for me was Pris's death scene.
Oh yeah, always.
That was terrible. It was terrible and brilliant. I mean, it was you got to see that, but it was horrible. Because it was so freaking unnatural.
Yeah.
The slamming and the screaming, and it was terrifying, really. And then when Roy came up and he gave her the kiss, and he had the white and the blood on his face, it was just like, oh Lord. Again, now you're sympathizing with Roy.
Yeah.
And you're actually sympathizing with Pris as well. You understand these characters. And again, Deckard isn't the bad guy, in case you're the writer of She-Hulk and you're watching this. He's just a guy doing his job because these beings are dangerous. Mm-hmm. It's unfortunate. They never wanted to be this way, but this is what they have become because of their unfortunate lifespan.
Yeah.
Derek Brickett is saying in the chat, even the smaller things like when Daryl Hannah cranks Ford's head around between her legs, and it looks real. It looks painful, doesn't it?
It did.
hooks his nostrils like that in the scene. I don't think it's in all the cuts, but it looks real. He's like, Jesus.
It looks very painful.
So Roland, going back to you saying I know you love the theatrical cut the best. Do you think the narration? I know you said you love it in the past, but does it not spoil some of the scenes? It doesn't seem like it's explaining things.
Gives you bits that you are not necessarily going to get on your own. The parts about Bryant's, the detective chief or lieutenant or whatever the hell he was. The parts about Deckard's boss, you would never have gotten those bits about him.
No.
But I think those were important bits of story. I also liked his narration at the end about what he thought of why Roy let him live.
Mm-hmm.
These are his thoughts about why these things are. It doesn't mean they are. It just means this is what he thought they were. Right. And he, as the detective, this is his story. And I did like the narration. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I know the audience should be smart enough. You know what? That's fine. But sometimes a little bit of exposition isn't bad.
Well, it also sets the tone. It is still an L.A. noir, right? And that's part of the genre of a noir to have
Philip Marlowe.
To have them slightly narrate, to go in and out at least.
Absolutely. Again, comments in the chat. I'm sure you heard this before, but I didn't know until I read the book.
Oh no!
Sean Young, Harrison Ford hated each other. I think it was more from his side for some reason. Absolutely. So the kind of rough love, almost rapey scene. That makes a lot more sense now because Sean Young said like that. That he really bloody hurt me. He hurt me in that scene. It was really like intense, and I don't know why. But there are rumors that she's a little bit eccentric. Should we say being nice, eccentric?
No, I've heard for years she was.
To
work with.
Well, Harrison's not so much.
Hey,
he's got some issues, man. Anybody who drops their groceries to run away from fans has serious issues. I'm sorry. It's like.
Is that a metaphor or a euphemism?
No, I've heard some stories where he's literally like come out of a grocery store in his hometown where he lives and just dropped his groceries and ran for the car when like somebody asked him for his autograph. Like. He's weird.
Probably too paranoid from smoking too much leaf. You know what I mean?
Who knows?
He's also like almost 90 years old, so just let him go, man. It's okay.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Nostradamus
this was decades ago.
Sean Young's hotness almost overrides her madness, her insanity. There we go.
You know what? I would say back in the day, almost certainly, Blade Runner 2049 with robot Sean Young, absolutely not. So I'm still bitter about Blade Runner 2049.
She was also very young when she filmed this. It was one of her first roles, so people forget that. She was very young, and Also, I heard they reshot the first 3 weeks. They did 3 weeks of shooting, and then I don't know why there was some problem with the lighting. Ridley was saying it was too dark, so they reshot, and that was good because Sean Young got kind of used to it, and she got better, and the performance was less stiff. They said
that's good.
But over budget.
I had a huge crush on Sean.
Stiff.
Steven's talking about that.
Her entire performance was stiff. That was kind of her role, was to be stiff.
She is an android, and she is a young actress trying to be an android. So
that's I don't know. Rachel, she has no idea what she is, but Rachel is not effing natural. Rachel was not natural through the entire movie. If you got natural from that opening scene when he does the interview with her, then I don't know what to tell you. She had an unnatural thing about her, a vibe.
How dare you talk about my girl this way, man? What the hell?
We all had a thing. We all had a big thing for Sean Young back in the day, didn't we? Even though she was.
What about that
hair and those big eyes? Good heavens, she was just magic on screen. But
because she was noir. She was the perfect noir woman on film. She looked beautiful. Right. She did.
And Jennifer Connelly survived her career better than Sean Young did. But they're both basically the same thing. Jennifer Connelly and Sean Young pretty much came along like 10 years apart from each other, but they were playing the same character.
Stephen, you talked last time, you mentioned, I don't know if it was you in the chat or Jennifer Connelly's in Dark City, and Dark City's a movie definitely worth going over, doing a deep dive.
One of these for Dark City.
We should do one together maybe for that. What do you reckon?
I'm in.
I haven't seen it for years, so it's been a long time.
Oh my God, so worth it.
I actually watched it. I think the last time we talked, I watched it because I'm like,
oh, did you?
I want to see this movie again. Yeah.
Does it hold up, Roman?
It does. Dark City holds up very well.
Oh yeah.
Rufus Sewell is such a good actor. Jennifer Connelly is good, and Kiefer Sutherland, weird as he is in this movie, is also very good. There's just a lot of that. There are so many good elements to Dark City.
Oh my God! Just the creepy guys. I mean, those guys are legendary characters.
They're so creepy.
Yeah, they're the nightmare men. They're the guys that come. When your room is dark and you barely catch a glimpse of them. Those are the guys.
Yeah, I mean, they could be a Doctor Who supervillain. I mean, seriously, they are aliens from outer space, right?
I accept your turn.
But and William Hurt playing like almost off type, I guess, kind of. He's like a cartoon of a cartoon of a cartoon of himself. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, you actually had a really amazing cast in a movie that not many people saw. Let's not kid ourselves. Dark City was not like a huge hit.
No, it wasn't.
A cult classic that weirdos like us love.
I saw it the day it came out, man. It's like
hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
Well, but the bizarre part was seeing The Matrix. Like literally like 3 or 4 months later, The Matrix came out, and I was like, wait a second.
Right.
No way, Stephen. I'd forgotten they were so close together because I was over in Australia at the time.
6 months of each other.
Yeah. I went to see The Matrix like ridiculous, like 6 or 7 times. I was going every week on the cheap movie day in Australia. It was amazing, just blew my mind. But I forgot all about that Dark City.
So I'm going to throw a question out here to whomever is listening. Should Blade Runner 2049 have been made?
I don't know. Me or you, Gray? How do you feel about that?
I need time to think about this. My answer.
That is answer enough. If this was a first date and she asked you to kiss her and you were like, I'll give you a few seconds to make up my mind here. You're basically saying maybe.
It took a few watches to get into it. It took me a few watches to really appreciate it.
It took a few watches. It took a few watches for me to figure out I wanted to marry my wife. It took a few watches for me to figure out I really like this pasta and shrimp.
A few watches?
It's not a good movie. It's not
I didn't like it right out of the gate.
You want it to be a good movie, but it's not a good movie. And it's a terrible follow-up.
It's a beautiful movie. And if it were cut into like 15-minute sub-storylines, like chapters, most of them would be incredible to watch because the action sequences...
With Harrison Ford actually caring about his part?
Well, how about just the romance between...
No spec.
No. There's the romance between the guy and his AI. I mean, like, just those sequences alone, I could watch a whole movie of that relationship. We didn't need Harrison Ford in here. We didn't need him to be in here at all.
Neither
it was
did
such
Harrison
a
Ford.
stupid move. It added all this other kind of like mental juggling you had to do for no reason. It was already a really good detective story. There was no reason for it to go there.
I would have actually accepted Ryan Gosling's non-acting better without Harrison Ford in the movie and without the ending that had that stupid twist with the weird girl in the bubble. I would have preferred the movie that way. I could have accepted a lot of things if that were the movie. But
I don't know why she was there.
She was an irrelevant character. You had no emotional investment in that character.
Yeah, where are the breadcrumbs, man? Lead me down the path. I'll accept it.
You cared about Roy. Fuck. You cared about. Sorry, I said a bad word. You cared about Chris. You cared about all the. You cared about poor Sebastian. You cared about all the characters in Blade Runner.
Even Leon. Yeah, I cared about Leon.
Even poor Leon. You know, what is a tortoise? Do you know what a turtle is? Same thing. Leon's poor emotional attachment because he was just so stupid. He was just a big dumb dude. You actually, even Zora with the snakes and the thing, and Harrison Ford. Hey, have you heard when they drill a little hole in your wall and they want to try to take a look at you? You cared about Zora. There were not thrown away characters in
even
Blade
Taffy,
Runner.
Roman, even Taffy Lewis, the bar owner, the really creepy, greasy Taffy Lewis. You even cared about him.
He gives him the drink. So we're good, huh?
He had a character. I think Nosferatu had a good point. It's like the more each time he's watching it, he's trying to convince himself it's good, but each time I watch it, I dislike it more. It left me cold on the first viewing, and my friends were saying maybe that's the idea, Gray. Maybe it's meant to leave you cold. That's part of the story. But I was like, there was no heart. There was no heart.
Never leave you cold.
Yeah, there was no heart.
You know what? Actually, my favorite part of Blade Runner 24 was the opening scene with Ryan Gosling's character, whose name I don't know because I don't give a shit. And Dave Bautista, whose character's name I don't know and I don't give a shit.
That was a good scene.
That was my favorite scene. That whole
fight scene,
group,
the whole build up to it and the fight
was good. Literally everything that came after that was not good. There were bits and pieces that the ideas could have been good, but got derailed by some other part of the movie. And Harrison Ford, again, we talked about this many times, he did not give a shit about being in this movie. It was like his roles in the later Star Wars one.
Has he given a shit for years, Roman? Has he?
To die.
I don't think he has.
And
how about this one? Norin Rad in the chat. Ex Machina did it better. Stephen, what do you think about that? Ex Machina did
Blade
Runner 2049.
Otherwise, I'll just sound like a grumpy old man. I will just say, Ex Machina did not do it for me. I have very specific ideas about android interactions with people, and I really hate this. Create artificial intelligence, it will always turn out evil or wicked, and it really just pisses me off that that's the only storyline that could write for such a creation. You know,
I love Ex Machina.
You know what? It's once again. Production values, it's gorgeous all the way across the board.
I thought it was a fun
ideas, it's got some interesting stuff, but I have very particular taste when it comes to Android stuff.
It was 109% better than Blade Runner 2049 as a movie. There wasn't really a part of Ex Machina I didn't like. I know, yes, androids bad, humans good. Androids turn on humans, things go poorly.
But the humans were horrible in Ex Machina. The humans were horrible. That was the point, wasn't it?
Everybody was horrible. That's what the whole point. It's like everybody's bad. It's why? Why did everybody have to be bad?
You know why,
Nobody
Stephen?
was good.
Because everybody is bad.
I'm so sick of that. I'm so sick of that narrative.
Westworld's the same idea. Westworld season 1 was incredible.
I care. Luke Skywalker.
Westworld season 2.
Yeah.
Westworld season 3.
Nightmare. I won't even watch it.
Like, I can't watch it anymore. It's actually one of the series I've had to separate myself from because humans bad, androids good. And so, to your point, Stephen, I actually do understand that, but I still like Ex Machina.
I mean, could you imagine with like the same tonalities as Breaking Bad, they did a Dudley Do-Right franchise with the same tones?
Where are we going?
Cannot imagine that,
I'm just saying, where are the good guys in my Hollywood cinema? Where are the bona fide, unquestionable good guys? No joke. They get the job done, but they're good guys. Everything's like the Superman.
That would be Top Gun Maverick
of cinema in today. It's like, why does Superman always have to be the evil alien? Why do we need to see multiple versions of him?
It's getting tiring, isn't it? The narrative. I know what you're saying. Where are the good guys? Where's the pure, optimistic hero? Where's the Luke Skywalker? The young Luke.
We need a Rock of Gibraltar. How about that? How about that as like a police officer franchise? He's literally called Gibraltar. Like that's the title of the show.
Guys, let's bring it back to the chat just for a second. Purple Valkyrie. She says she didn't watch 2049 for a long time, and when she finally did watch it, she felt nothing. There you go. Good point.
I'm sorry you watched it, Purple. I wish you would save those moments of your life for literally anything else. A nice brisket. Briskets are nice.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry, going back, Nosferatu, it feels sterile while the original Blade Runner felt organic, as Stephen was saying earlier.
Yeah, even that orphanage camp felt sterile.
It did, didn't it?
It's like, it was so weird. It felt so propped. Like you could see the prop master's hands everywhere. It was so contrived. I don't know. It was like
if they had made Ryan Gosling, who I hate, if they had made him the one, it would have made more sense. I actually would have hated the movie a lot less.
Yeah.
And I don't like Ryan Gosling, and I think I've made that entirely clear. But it would have made the movie better.
Yeah.
Thanks, Derek, by the way. Nice one. Thanks a lot.
That's kind of my point, is that it's like it really, really feels like very cleanly they're guiding you down a certain path, and then they just turn a corner at the end of the film. And it's like, what? What?
Yeah, I think that was thrown in. That was added later, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that was
you
like
could feel the rehash or something.
Yeah, totally.
Whereas nothing in Blade Runner, any of the versions.
Well,
we're
talking about a totally different day and age, man, where even the worst television was still better than most of what we have today. It's like, I don't even know what to say about it.
I like Nas is bringing this in because this was great. I don't know if you guys have seen Soldier.
Yeah, Roman, can you read that comment, please? Go for it.
Soldier with Kurt Russell is actually set in the Blade Runner universe.
Right. I didn't know that. I didn't know.
Soldier.
That's a good movie too. That's a pretty solid movie.
Oh my God! It's about children who are basically taken from their parents and raised to be
soldiers,
the best soldiers they can be. They have no emotional attachment, and then later they get replaced by better soldiers who have somehow less emotional attachment and probably more, alterations. But it's a very, very good movie, and Kurt Russell is so good in this role.
Yeah.
And he displays literally that much emotion, much like Roy Batty. He is able to display a lot without showing a lot.
Yeah.
And it's a fantastic film.
Yeah, it's interesting to note that this kind of characterization of like a fictional soldier or like a man-made soldier predates Halo. And he's very much like Master Chief in that way. He's like just.
And what you do see in Soldier is they're in a dump planet. It's basically a big what do we call them? Landfills here in California.
Right.
And they're dumping all the garbage of Earth on this planet. And part of the garbage
planet.
are the cars, the Blade Runner cars, the hovercrafts vehicles are part of the garbage that are falling out.
Oh, really?
That's how you
I didn't
see
know.
it. It's a tiny, breadcrumb, but it's there, and it's very obvious because you see it. It's like, I know that car.
It's so funny.
And everybody else in the room is looking at you like, why are you doing that? Please stop.
That's cool. Oh, mate, this has been so good. As I say, I didn't want to go too long on this stream, but thank you for coming, guys, and thanks for talking. So, final thoughts before we finish on the original Blade Runner. I mean, 2049 doesn't come anywhere near close, does it?
Yeah.
Right.
Is it Ridley Scott's best movie, Blade Runner? What do you think? Go. Best movie.
I think it's certainly one of his best. But he was young, he's unencumbered. He was experimenting. He was under tremendous amounts of stress, and under tremendous amounts of stress, heroes are made, so to speak.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Everybody was doing their best work at the beginning. You could see it in Spielberg with Jaws and Close Encounters. He was unencumbered by the pressure at all. It's like he was just going to do it, and he was going to do it his way. Very Frank Sinatra kind of filmmaking back then. So Blade Runner, the idea that it's classified as a cyberpunk film ticks me off, because it is so far beyond that because of the quality. It's a science fiction film. It's a psychological drama. It's a noir. It's a futuristic crime story. It's so many other things beyond its cinematic history, like 2001. I don't even consider that a science fiction anymore. It's it's 2001. It's unclassifiable,
Roman, you want to say something?
So
2001?
No, actually, I love 2001 and I hate 2001.
Me too.
I love it for
I'm
all
with
of
you.
its visuals and the ideas. I hate it for its pacing. Its pacing makes me want to kill myself and throw myself into an obelisk so that I go away. As far as Blade Runner being Ridley Scott's best film, I would arguably say yes. I would put this in his top two. Blade Runner and Alien are right there. He's made a lot of other good films. Gladiator, Thelma and Louise, for all of you out there who really like that kind of thing. I am not one of you. But he's made a lot of really good movies.
Yeah.
But Alien and Blade Runner are really the top two of the pinnacle. Mm-hmm. And I'd say Blade Runner built on what he did in Alien, where he made a realistic sci-fi universe that felt lived in. Mm-hmm. But in Alien, it was much more confined. In Blade Runner, he built an entire world.
Yeah.
And that's why I love what he did with a story that was this big.
Well, he came to Blade Runner not straight from, but after the success of Alien. That's what basically got him the job.
Yep.
So, yeah, so good. Those earlier films by Ridley Scott, I don't think he's surpassed them. Maybe Gladiator, someone was saying earlier. Gladiator's really up there as well. Gladiator, Alien, Blade Runner, top three. Good choices all. Okay, Stephen, Roman, thank you so much for coming on, for popping in. It's been brilliant. I'm glad you enjoyed the stream, and thanks for your input. Valuable, and the chat has been fantastic, hasn't it?
Indeed.
So good to hear it. Stephen's on fire. Roman's on fire too. Gray is all worn out. My voice is breaking at the moment. So I think it's the aircon that's doing it.
And you had a gigantic cup of water this morning, so.
I know, it's all gone. It's gone, man.
Gigantic cup. I'm sorry, gigantic and cup. I'm having trouble with that sentence, Gray.
It's almost as big as my head.
I'm on my 10th beer right now, so I'm just throwing that out there.
Oh, I'm jealous, Roman. Have one for me, man. Okay, if you guys want to hang out just for a sec after we finish, don't go anywhere. I'll drop the closer. Just say, again, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in a future video. This is Gray, Roman, and Stephen from Wakizashi's Tea House signing off.
Everybody.
Good night. Matane. Wakizashi's Tea House. Please subscribe.